Along with Earth and Mars, Mercury and Venus make up our inner solar system. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, these planets farthest from the Sun, make up the gaseous outer worlds of the solar system. Over 4 billion years, the inner planets bound enough interstellar debris to become rock solid. Venus is the 6th largest planet in the solar system. At its closest, it is 26 million miles away from Earth. A year on Venus lasts 225 Earth days. And if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh 136 on Venus. Because of this retrograde rotation, the Sun rises in the west and sets in the east. And the Venusian days are long ones. The amount of time from one sunrise to the next is about 8 Earth months. But the orbital pattern and long days aren't what make Venus so intolerable. In part, it's the wicked climate. With a surface temperature of 900 degrees Fahrenheit, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. On Venus, volcanoes are the natural spring source for CO2 and other gases. It's a process atmospheric chemist Jeff Sutton studies on Earth at Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. The atmospheric pressure on Venus is 90 times greater than on Earth because the weight of the atmosphere created by gases is heavier. This prevents Venusian lightning from hitting hard ground. Instead, it is restrained to the clouds.
There's just too much resistance in that very thick air for a lightning bolt to get through. It's much easier for lightning to discharge from cloud to cloud.
And besides appearance, there's little else that's Earth-like about Venusian clouds. In fact, the main ingredient that creates them is toxic enough to burn through human flesh. From Earth, you might be able to see Venus twinkle in the morning and evening skies like a star.
Definitely not a wallflower. It's so bright in our sky, not just because it's the closest planet to us, but because it's the most reflective planet. Because it turns out Venus is completely covered in these bright reflective clouds.
80% of the sun's light bounces off the clouds that blanket the planet. But even in the clouds, Venus, our so-called twin planet, manages to show an evil nature.
And we know that the clouds of Venus are made out of sulfuric acid, basically like battery acid. And that sulfuric acid is made by sulfur dioxide coming out of volcanoes on the surface.
Like its greenhouse cousin, carbon dioxide, or CO2, gas pressure pushes sulfur dioxide to the surface through volcanic vents. 48 million miles away from Earth, Mercury's dust-covered hills and empty plains stretch as far as the naked eye can see.
It's a colorless body. I mean, it does not have really any colors like you see on Mars or the Earth or even Venus for that matter.
Dr. Robert Strong, with the University of Arizona's Lunar and Planetary Lab, has been a chief authority on planetary geology for more than 35 years.
Mercury is the innermost planet, and it's quite different than anything else in the solar system.
At 36 million miles, Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. The planet has no known moons. Mercury has no atmosphere. And it's a naked eye planet, visible on Earth during the twilight hours. with a diameter 60% smaller than Earth. Mercury is the solar system's scrawniest planet. Much too small to generate the strong gravitational field needed to retain an atmosphere. Mercury orbits the Sun in 88 Earth days, the fastest of any planet. But when it comes to the time it takes Mercury to spin on its own axis, the planet holds the record for being the slowest. Length of time, around 180 Earth days, about half a year. The Sun's gravitational force creates a tidal friction within Mercury, which slows down its speed as it spins on its axis. This means a year on Mercury is shorter than a day on the planet. And that sluggish rotation gives Mercury a somewhat peculiar weather forecast. For 6 months, the side exposed to the Sun reaches 800 degrees Fahrenheit. On the other side, the temperature drops to 300 degrees below zero.
It has a long time to heat up on the side facing the Sun and a long time to cool down on the other side. And that's why it has these huge temperature extremes.
Despite its close proximity to the Sun, Mercury is a bit of a black sheep in the planetary family. Its skies always seem like starry nights.
The skies would be black. The reason we have blue skies on the Earth is because of our atmosphere. Nitrogen scatters light preferentially in the blue, and so that's why the sky looks blue. Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere, so the sky would be black.
Legend holds that Mercury, the Roman god, invented the sport of boxing. This is one planet that's taken the lion's share in the ring. Mercury has had millions of meteors and asteroids explode on its surface because it doesn't have an atmosphere to protect it. Our atmosphere guards Earth from most impacts, like a force field. When a small object slams into it, usually at more than 10 times the speed of a bullet, the collision with air molecules vaporizes it into a gas.
The Earth is shielded from small impacting objects by this wonderful thing that we call the atmosphere. And for small objects, weak objects, they will be completely destroyed by those forces long before they get here to the geologic surface of our planet.
On Mercury, without that atmosphere, the asteroids and meteors smack down at full throttle. This makes Mercury the most heavily cratered planet in the solar system.